Hello, One's Forest Focus. A brutal defeat for Nottingham Forest yesterday as they played well against Liverpool but ultimately lost. A sign of hope or a sign of weaknesses that are hard to fix in 11 games. Joining me to have their say, great to welcome Pete Blackburn. Morning, Pete. How you doing?
Yeah, I think I'm bucking the trend a little bit based on the social media and the comments and stuff. I'm in a very buoyant mood. Gone from feeling pretty hopeless after the Leeds and Wolves performances and some poor performances before that to a week where the manager's had almost no time with the players and has had to travel to Turkey and back, but has made a significant impact on the way they play, the sort of plan we've got. And personally, much more confident about the rest of the season than I was before. And we can go into why I'm an idiot later, but I'll make the case.
You said, how you doing? Good.
Sorry. You said you didn't want us to last until 1, but I reckon based on that,
based on the hello, how you doing, it might do. Michael Temple, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. I was at the boxing with Franz on Saturday night, so that was one victory we got at the weekend. But yeah, so frustrated given how well we played in that first half yesterday.
Yeah, well done to Lee Wood. Big win for him. I was interested. I'll try and get him on here, actually, see what his plans are next. I know he's dreaming of that City ground fight, so it'd be great to see that happen one day. Aforementioned Franz Carr, former Reds winger. How are you doing today?
Yeah, fine. Thanks, Matt. It's like I said, temperature just down. We had a good night on Saturday. I think the Forest fans are obviously out in force. So it was good. It's good to get the Forest fans supporting their own as well. So, yeah, it was a good night. Good weekend, realistically. Even yesterday, we'll talk about that. But yesterday was promising signs. So, but I'll let you fire the questions at everybody.
I'll fire the first one at Temps then. Kick us off, Temps, with just, I mean, like you say, we met at half-time. Great first half. Ultimately ends in that painful defeat. What did you make of it overall?
Well, you heard what I thought at half-time. I thought there was only one winner in the game. I think I agree with Arnie Slot that they got more out of the game than they deserved. But ultimately, we've been haunted again by the lack of goals. We've scored 25 in 27. And when you see the manner in which we're able to defend and the creativity we have out wide and the performances that Sangaria, Elliot Anderson, Morgan Gibbs White are capable of putting in. And I thought that was absolutely Sangaria at his very, very best yesterday. He looked generally European class, if not world class. That was an opportunity for us to turn performance into points, and we didn't, because we're haunted again by creating and having so many shots on target. Some of them low quality, I'll admit, but to have 53 attempts across 2 Premier League games without scoring a goal is symptomatic of the problem that we have. This is a set of players that should be 10, 15, 20 points clear of relegation, that show in different pockets of the pitch what they can do and why they belong at this level. But goals change games and we're not scoring them. I think we're on track to score less goals this season than we did in our first season back in the Premier League. And however we dissect the ultimate outcome this year, it's the lack of goals which is going to come into focus. Brilliant performance, so good first half. Couldn't convert, couldn't close the game out, couldn't settle, couldn't even find the point, and Liverpool found a way to win, and that's absolutely heartbreaking because the performance deserves so much more.
Yeah, I was looking at the stats for Premier League goal scorers, because obviously we know Igor Jesus has done really well, but not produced the goals that we hoped for. When you look around him, Morgan's got 6. Callum 3, Hutchinson 1, Anderson 1, and you look around the rest of the league, we don't really have that guy like Morgan Rogers 8, Bowen 8, Enzo 6, Enzo Fernandez, Mateus Cunha 6, Harry Wilson 8, 5 assists as well. So I think that's why people are really worried, Pete. So your counter argument is what? Don't be worried, or be worried, but we're going to be okay because.
Well, I'm not going to gaslight people and say it's fine because we've got a 20-goal season striker in waiting, and a new manager's going to change that. We've got what we've got. I think we all know that up front we're a bit light, and for all of Jesus's strengths, and there are many, I think he makes a really positive contribution to the team in terms of the work rate. I mean, the sheer amount of work he gets through every game, often against centre halves who are kicking him and being a right pain in the arse. I think he's done a great job at that, but it's becoming more and more obvious now that, in those moments where you need him to be clinical, not only is he not clinical when he does get a shot off, but often he takes far too long to take the moment, to be proactive take that chance. And we saw that in the first half, didn't we? I mean, I thought Hutchinson slipped in a really nice ball in behind the defence. Jesus' movement actually was really good for that. But he had time, and he had the opportunity to hit the ball either side of the goalkeeper and force a good save. And he just sort of wants too long, I think. What I'd say about that in particular is, obviously we are where we are in terms of the players we've got, and all that coaches can do is maximise what they've got, right? And we are in a footballing culture, where we think that the only answers for change are recruitment. And while recruitment is really important, that's nonsense. You know, what football really is about coaching. It's about getting the best out of the players that you can. It's about environment. It's about culture. All of those things mean that you can get more out of footballers than you've seen from them when they've been struggling. So I think that it is possible for us to find hope, and that we will be able to, you know, be more threatening. I think we have been already. I mean, we've had, as I said at the start, this has been 1 week under Pereira. And I think if you're not seeing the difference, I'm not sure if you're watching the games, to be honest. I think you're being led by your heart rather than your head, and not in a good way on this occasion, because you're still believing the anxiety and the worry that we saw in games like Leeds and Wolves, where, you know, I mean, going back to Everton, games where we had no plan whatsoever, and it was just whip balls into the box and hope. This is different now. You know, in that first half, that's 2 chances, 2 moments, one of which won't actually even be captured by the stats because Jesus didn't get a shot off. But 2 moments where we've carved out a genuine opportunity against a Liverpool side who they might well be the most expensively assembled football team in history. I'm not entirely sure if that's accurate, but it can't be far off it. The week before, you know, we're all trotting out this 50 shots in 2 games stat. The week before that was against Wolves. You know, the second or third worst team in Premier League history. These 2 things are not comparable. The Hudson-Odoi chance and the Jesus moment, they are genuinely carved out chances against very, very high-end footballers. And on top of that, we've had lots of little moments as well. And in other games, you get a deflection, you get the shot from Sangare is a couple of inches across, and you get a chance. I know that those are not high-quality chances, but against the opposition that we're talking about, to create that much, to make them look that average, to make them look that shell-shocked in the first half, if you're not taking positives from that and you're only focusing on the goal scorer issue, I think you're looking in the wrong places. I don't think you're seeing performance. I think you're only seeing outcome. And that's a problem. You know, you can say at this stage of the season, all that matters is results. But actually, that's quite a facile way to look at things, because results don't come without performances in any sort of longer stretch of time. And we've still got 10 games or whatever that is a decent stretch of time for performances to matter. You work on performances, you trust in that process, and those performances are the best chance you've got of earning results. Football is chaos, and it swings on tiny moments like it did for us against Liverpool, and it feels heartbreaking when it happens. But the truth is, the only way you can mitigate against that fortune is the process and the performances. And if you've not seen that change in the last week, and if you can't take any belief from that, given they've had, 2 training sessions and loads of travelling, I'm not sure you're looking. I think that there's enormous positives to take, and there's plenty of time for us to get the results we need to get us out of this mess.
I've got the upcoming games, obviously, because we played really well against Liverpool. The teams we have to play, a lot of them are of an equal quality as well. In the sense, we still got to play 4 of the top 5. We've got to play City, Villa, Chelsea, and United. 3 of those are away from home, so we're going to have tough games. We've only got 2 of the bottom 6 to play, and 1 is Spurs away. So that's a very, very big game. Obviously, the Burnley. So I think we're going to have a lot of similar games like this, Franz. So do you see, as Pete, are you more what you see what Pete says, or do you worry that fundamentally this team isn't going to get the goals and it is going to be a real slog?
I think it's down to the players. When you think, looking back at 2 weeks ago, I thought Sean. I mean, obviously we all know what Sean Dyche did, but I thought the players threw him under the bus a little bit, because it's the same team that's playing, the same players. So I think with the changes of management as well, players have been up and down. And I just think now, I know people talk about coaching and it's this and implementing what they've got to do, but how do you coach Elliot Anderson, Sangare? They know their jobs. So I think it's a matter of massaging egos, because they're individual, aren't they? You've got South American players, you've got a mix of players. I mean, you look at Murillo. I've not seen him go down. Normally goes down at least a couple of times for his calf or something in a game. So it just shows you that confidence for him with him getting that goal. Just basically everything else disappears. So I think whoever's come in now seems to have given him a little, probably an arm around the shoulder or whatever it is. Because I always say now in football today is, how do you motivate a millionaire? It's yourself, because you've got to go out there and put a performance in. There's certain comments coming out now saying we've got our identity back now. So that just shows you that a lot of players probably weren't happy with Sean the way his methods were. And then you've got the other thing with the language barrier, because a lot of the foreign coaches can speak 5 or 6 languages. So if you're trying to get something across to a player from an English point of view, from a South American point of view, they may take it a different way. So, you've got all these things where it's not just about the manager, it's about your coaching staff and probably getting interpreters in there to get it to sink in with the players. So it's just an outsider looking in, thinking what went wrong. Because like I say, when you're looking at, the Wolves game, you look at the Palace game with Nico, all of a sudden you've got 6 points there, haven't you? And we're not talking about, yesterday's game where we performed, and then Fenerbahce was unbelievable, Fenerbahce, the way they played. But as you say, with Luca coming in, was that a situation where it could have been the chairman saying, well, listen, Chris Wood, we want someone like him to score goals, because Igor's doing fantastic up front anyway, but they're thinking, well, it worked with Chris Wood. Can we get someone similar to him? So you've got all these, and then Callum Wendo, you've got all these strikers coming in, and it's like a jigsaw puzzle. We're trying to fit pieces into which are not going in, are they? So it's down to I think it's to the staff, with Pereira going in there. I think he's just sat back and said, listen, lads, just go and play and enjoy yourself. Because I think once you're enjoying your football, things will come. I mean, Sangari's been unbelievable. He was brilliant yesterday. And then you've got obviously the 2 midfielders. If they can push up a little bit more, which the way we played against Liverpool yesterday, I think we just bossed Liverpool yesterday. And the only thing they always say about it's a game of 2 halves. If we didn't play midweek against Fenerbahce, that performance from the first half would have carried on in the second half. I just think we're tired a little bit and had to take a bit of a breather and get our second wind, and that's where Liverpool came back into the game. So I just think it's always positive signs. I think every time I come on here, I'm always saying it's positive, we're going to win, but it's about scoring goals, and we need a goal scorer. But if we haven't got Igor scoring the goals, we've got to get goals from somewhere else, because Elliot Anderson, he's got everything apart from the goals. So, and he's well capable of scoring goals. So it's, how do you coach somebody like him? You can't coach him. You've just got to probably get him to enjoy the game a little bit more and play with a bit more freedom, because these guys know what to do. If someone's going past you, you don't need a coach to tell you you've got to get back. You know what your job's got to do. It's the same as Nico, and with Ola coming back in. I think that's been good. We've missed Ola. I think if he was fit the whole of the season, that back four would have been a lot more stronger, because we've had Morata coming in, different players coming in. So I just think now that balance of the back four is good. The keeper's come in, done fantastically well. It's just that front, the strikers who need to get the goals. But you can't really say that we've not had enough chances. Like Temp's saying, 53, 35 chances against Everton and whatever. So there's not much wrong, is there? It's just that bit of luck, which Liverpool, they had that luck yesterday, where the game beforehand, they've lost games. Like I say, I think they were winning 3-2 against Leeds and other teams, and all of a sudden they've got robbed, So we've got to try and do that, because we've had a lot of bad luck. A lot of the draws or losses could have been easy wins, and then we're talking about a different team in a different situation.
I had a look back at 2022-23 Temps, and I feel there's some similarities. We were in real trouble until April. We actually lost 7 out of 9. Then Taiwo scored 6 in 4 games. We got a draw v Chelsea, a win v Arsenal, finished on 38 points. Leicester went down, a very good Leicester team on 34. I wonder if Igor Jesus might click. It feels like he's got everything. I saw Stan Collymore tweeted, stick with him, he's got everything. I think he's going to go on and have a really successful career. And if he's at Forest next season, I think he would hit double figures in the Premier League. Maybe it's wishful thinking on my part. I can see him I think he might be the kind of striker who can get 3 or 4 in 5 games suddenly. Is that blind wishful thinking on me? Because I don't think Callum Hudson-Odoi is going to start scoring goals. Hutchinson might got the L1. So we are leaning on Igor Jesus, and we'll talk about set pieces. But do you see that in him, or is that wishful thinking on my part?
Well, I called for Luca to have his chance a couple of games ago. I'm more firmly of the belief now that Igor Jesus is the horse to back. In Europa League, he's scored pretty freely and scored various types of goals, but the quality of centre halves that he comes up against in the Premier League is just that bit better. I think the manner in which he was closed down and tried to have that extra step yesterday is the difference between a striker with cutting edge in the Premier League against Virgil van Dijk and that extra half yard you get against the Hungarians in midweek. So, look, we're probably going to score less goals in that season you described there. I think we ended on 38 points and scored 38 goals, didn't we? From memory.
I'll check. Yeah.
And we're behind that goal a game average at this point. I think that the credit we have to give to Vitor Pereira is it's very, very obvious that he's got a defensive structure, which is just backing those 4 players to do what they do without being obsessively screened by 5 midfielders. That has enabled us to go front foot, to press the Liverpool tick-attacker from their own 18-yard box and have them cough up the ball as often as they did yesterday. Credit for that. We are taking more risk. We are a more attacking force. He's picking wingers and giving them responsibility. Sangari's screening, more elevated positions for Gibbs, White and Anderson. You've still got to convert. And none of that matters if you're not sticking it away. If we'd have come away with the 2-0 yesterday, I'm with Pete. I'm singing from the rooftops. He's created a situation where we're going to score more goals. He's got his 4 best defenders fit and firing. Everything's going to be okay. I'm just still haunted by the fact that positive performances, and I'll take the back end of Daishi's reign in this as well. It was a positive performance against Wolves, apart from the goal scoring. It was a positive start against Palace, apart from Nico becoming a keeper for 30 seconds. We do have the players to survive. We're just not turning dominance in matches into goals. So to answer your question, is Igor Jesus going to score 5 goals between now and the end of the season? On balance of what we've seen so far, you've got to say probably not in the Premier League. It needs to be contributions from around the team. They're all capable of doing it. We've seen all 3 of those central midfielders pop up with wonder strikes at particular points last season. That will be the deciding factor. If we can score 12 to 15 goals in the 11 games that remain, we'll be fine. If we score 10 or less, we'll be right up against it.
Going back to 22-23, good knowledge, Temps. 38 goals scored, 68 conceded. A brutal minus 30 goal difference, but still stayed up. Pete, do you want to come in there before we go to a break? I think I cut you off before.
Pete, just on the Vitor Pereira taking the brakes off and giving him the freedom, immediate impact. Saw it from minute 5 in midweek. Can he coach the goal scoring?
Well, it's hard to know the answer to that because I haven't seen it. I mean, it sort of seems mad to me that the depth of the conversation we're having, given we've literally seen him manage 1 Premier League game and take one.
But they're fundamental issues of the team, aren't they?
Well, how do you know? I mean, some of them probably.
Well, I looked at Callum Hudson-Odoi's record last season. He got 5 goals and 3 assists. He's got 3 goals this season. 1 was a cross. So it's hard to say he's going to start banging them in.
Well, I'm not suggesting any of them are going to start banging them in, but we don't actually need that many goals in order to get the results that we need if we're up to our levels. I think it seems pretty obvious to me that most of the players in this side have been underperforming through a season which has been chaotic and mismanaged off the pitch, and frankly, I'd argue probably mismanaged in the footballing sense too. I think it's pretty clear that a new set of staff have come in and with almost no time whatsoever to make an impact, have made a significant impact. I think it is absurd, frankly, to not take note of that and to not take hope from that, given that they're going to have more time to work now. This week, we've got a game which, very thankfully, much less rests on now, and a lot of the work can be for the weekend. Because they've made such a good start in that tie. I'm not getting what I'm struggling with is I don't think that there's a reasonable sense of perspective going on in any of this discussion from fans or whatever. I think the hard evidence of 1 week is plenty to make you think that a team that are currently already out of the relegation zone are going to stay there and can get better and can get the performances we need. The fixtures are perfectly feasible. I can easily make a case for 4 wins in the remaining fixtures and more points on top of that. I think if we play the way we did against Liverpool, against some of the upcoming sides, I wouldn't be remotely surprised if teams are looking at the clock, 90 minutes has gone, and we've blitzed them 2-0 with a performance of the sort of intent that they just didn't see coming from a side in our position. That's what we've done in 2 first halves under Pereira, given that he's not even had any time to make that happen. So in these circumstances where the only impact any of us can have is by trying to have perspective and then support from that position, I don't understand where the negativity is coming from. I mean, I was in a pit of bleakness after that week in which we failed to get anything notable from Wolves and Leeds on top of Palace, and from that position I was in there, where I couldn't see where hope was coming from, because we had a team of players who looked like they had no ideas, looked like they were sort of playing with no sense of a plan, of a strategy, of any sort of guidance. They were all playing within themselves. They're so fragile that anytime things go against them, heads down, and you can see that that's not going to be the sort of level of confidence that you need to get performance. If you're not seeing the difference in the way that the players have performed, in the way that they look from that period of time to this last period of time, maybe I'm mad. Maybe I've been slipped a cocktail or something. But to me, it looks like absolute worlds apart. And the only reasonable judgment to take from that then is that you should be a lot more hopeful right now than you were after that moment. And it's only been one Premier League game since. One kick of the ball, and we're coming away frustrated not having won, and talking about how positive the performance was and how impressive Forest have been, having had only a week with Vitor Pereira in charge, and looking ahead to the next games thinking, we've got a right shot here.
The performance was very impressive. I'm looking at the next 9 games. I can make a case for us to win 8 of them, certainly. I think it's...
How would you have felt about those games after that run with Davies, where it looked like the wheels were falling off? How many of those would you have made a case for us winning? I would have struggled to say to you, I believe that we will win those games. Now I look at going away to Brighton, and I think I wouldn't be remotely surprised if we go there and shock them, and that on the way home, some pub on the way home is going to take an absolute hammering from Vitor Pereira and the lads, because they've got points in their punts.
Yes, I agree, but I can also look. The Premier League is so hard that I think you can look at the Premier League is shits all over the Europa League, frankly, in terms of quality. That every game is difficult, and Brighton away, City away, Fulham at home, Tottenham away, Villa at home, Burnley at home. I can make a case for winning every single game, apart from City, frankly. You can also, I think it's innate, this fear, isn't it, Temps, that it's so hard to stay in the Premier League that every game's a battle and you've got to be right on it. And we were right on it. We just narrowly missed out, and we need to find 2 or 3% more to do what Pete's saying and find the wins, and then we should be fine. We do have the players; it's just finding 2 or 3%, and that's a very big. I think Steve Hodd was on the radio saying that last 2 or 3%, i.e., sticking the ball in the net, is the difference between of comfortable we finish even 15th, and otherwise we're looking over our shoulders till the last day.
Yeah, look, playing well and losing hurts, right? And Franz has been involved in plenty of games that have gone that way, and plenty where you've played badly and scraped it. You find a way. And then any national journalist with no affinity to either team who's covered that game yesterday is rightly saying Liverpool got more than they deserve. But then when you do a deep dive on Forest, we don't score enough goals. That's it. I can't. It's not about negativity or positivity, Pete. I think it's objectivity as to outcome, which is all that matters at this level. Look, I'm up on Vitor Pereira. I see the personality, the energy, the impact, the players playing with a smile on the face again, and that will lift them by 10-15%. They've always had the quality within them. I think they're potentially a little bit overcoached and restrained, and we saw that in some of the performances and the manner which we've set up. So yes, I think he's taking a risk in making us more free flowing and able to score more goals, and backing his first choice back four to keep clean sheets and find a way to get us through these games. So I'm still sitting here predicting that we're going to stay up and that we'll do better than West Ham over the course of these next 11 games. But to pick up points, we need to score more goals. We need to get our next win on the board before West Ham do. And if we do that, we'll be okay. However, as long as there's a cold streak in the Premier League in terms of goal scoring, teams are going to have opportunities to beat us. That's the blunt reality of where we find ourselves at this point in time, with the table looking as it does.
Yeah.
Just two really quick points. I know, sorry, I went on for ages, and I always do. I apologise. But just 2 quick points. Playing well and losing is crap, but playing badly and losing is worse by every
That's a Spurs fan,
measure. And we've seen plenty of that. You know, Matt, you mentioned about fight. Well, what fight did you see in the Leeds game where we were out-battled for the entire thing? And from that, I think you can take no hope whatsoever for the rest of the season. Take the Liverpool game. We've won more duels than them, more aerial duels. We've shown the braveness out of possession in those sort of cliched ways people talk about the fight. But the fight is also on the ball as well. And the bravery and the sense of buying into an attacking plan, which also has to trust all your teammates to do their jobs, much more so than they were under the previous plan, where they're marking one-on-one at the back with an ocean of space in behind them. That's all bravery and fight as well. So all these things that we're talking about, I'm seeing a lot of boxes ticked in the space of 1 week where they've actually had to go to Turkey and back. Feels incredibly positive to me.
Let's take a word for the Trent now. Then I'm going to bring Franz in on the goals and the key moments and get his take on those fine margins that we're talking about. Not to go full Warburton there. Next up, Fenerbahce at home. Really looking forward to this game, actually, to see how he goes about it and how he protects this lead and looks to build on it. You can watch it at the NAV because it is televised. Fothers has got his quiz. He did 2 quizzes yesterday, so people are lapping it up. He'll have his quiz for this one, indoor screens, outdoor screens, and also just to say now, the Brighton game is televised as well. So if you're not making the trip to the South Coast, you can watch it down there. Franz, I want to get your take on obviously their goal. So frustrating. It felt pretty preventable at many stages along the way, and we'll ask about offside as well. But where did we go wrong there? Is it as simple as win the first contact? The players not reacted well enough to when the header comes in? What's your take?
Yeah, I just think we ran out of steam. Second half was a different game. Like I say, playing midweek, I think caught up with us because that first half, I mean, listen, there's only one team in it. It was Forest, and we needed a goal. I think we'd have got a goal that would just it stood us in good stead for later on in the second half. I just think we backed off a little bit and invited the pressure. But when you start looking at the VAR and all these different rules and the line on someone's toenail or whatever, you've got to look at the actual game itself. If someone interfering with play, you've got all these different things of he's not in the right position, he's in the wrong position. I mean, I did think McAllister's goal when it hit his back was a goal because he's obviously just hit it against him. It's gone straight in. But obviously the VAR was good for us there because then when they slowed everything down, it did hit his elbow. But I think from looking from the stands, you would think it's a goal and we're unlucky. And then the second one was just laughable because at the end of the day, would Olaine marked was it Akatika?
Yeah, he was miles offside when it was delivered.
Yeah, but then his focus would have been on another play. He probably had another yard, stood up marking another player. So if he's in there and he's already offside, then you've got that thing of how do you make that decision? Because you're looking at it from a footballer's point of view, you'd say, listen, he's offside because he's interfering with play. But then again, the top sides always get the rub of the green. And like I say, with Liverpool, I think Slot was saying, they didn't deserve to win. But like I said, the same times when they've played certain games, they should have won. They've lost the points. So I just think where we played yesterday against Fenerbahce, the side's been brilliant. I just think now with, like I say, Victor coming in there, it seems like he's given them a new lease of life. And to be honest, the last few games with Sean, they could have won the games, but it's like they've been let off a lead. When they've been restrained, the players that have been playing with that sort of bit of fear, well, not that freedom. So on Sunday, it was like a breath of fresh air watching the lads play because it seemed like they were just free to do what they wanted to do. So I don't know what's been going on in the background. I don't know with the coaching, what's going on with the previous managers and how the players have thought, but you look at Murillo midweek, he's a different player, isn't he? I mean, he's always been a top player, and I always want him to go on a mazy. I think the whole crowd, as soon as he gets the ball, they say, just go and have a go, beat 4 or 5 players and have a shot. But he's well capable of doing that. So I don't think he's being restricted as much as he was before. But then again, if you've got a settled back 4, you can afford to make them sort of runs, because you've got you've got Nico to get back in there. So I think once you've got a settled back 4, we could probably push up more, and that will help Elliott push forward and Sangare, because if Murillo's starting to push up, he'll push the midfield players up, and he'll help Igor as well. Because even Morgan Gibbs-White is a different player. These last couple of games, we're saying, well, where have you been? You know what I mean? Because is it that thing where some of the players, you might have certain players who are not happy with the manager, the way he does things, or, it might be the training. There's certain things you've got to wear or whatever, little things. This is why I think sometimes you've got to have somebody in that dressing room to see how the players tick. Because, mentally and psychologically, it's more to do with, I think, with how you manage players, especially the South American players. Because you look at Suarez and people like that, they were loose cannons, weren't they? Fantastic players. But if you sort of like, touched them or whatever, they'd just go mad and just kick off. Whereas I think the Brazilians they're a bit more, I would say, more stable than the Argentinian players. But at the same time, they need something different, don't they? They need that to be looked after, especially Murillo. I mean, Murillo looks like he needs an arm around his shoulder every game. Tell him how good he is. He's a good player anyway, but that's down to the staff. So I don't think the coaching in the football is a problem. I think it's management of players to get the best out of them. Because if you look after them players, they'll look after you. So I think that might be the turning point with Vitor Pereira speaking all them different languages, them understanding it more. It's probably just let them relax a little bit more, because and Doy and other people, they might start to come to the fore a little bit because of what the information's been told to them in a different language, is the mother tongue, rather than an English guy telling them what to do, and they can't sort of like take it on to the next level. And Mario Hutchinson's the same. He seems like he's somebody who needs someone to hold his hand when he's playing games, because he just seems fragile, doesn't he? So it's how the coaches get the best out of him, because there's no doubt he's a top player, but sometimes he plays with a little bit of fear. The way I see it, I don't see him playing with like a free spirit, like with Callum. Callum on Saturday looked like a different player. Like a new lease of life. He was sharp. He looked good. He was looking for the ball. So again, that's down to probably the coaching. It's giving them a lift rather than putting too much onus. If they've got to do this, they've got to defend. They've got to do this. They just get on with the game. So it was good to see. Like I said, last couple of games, it's been nice to see that they've had a new lease of life, and hopefully this is with Victor coming in here now, we'll push them on. But we are capable of winning any games. We're all on. We all watch the games, and the big teams, everybody can get up for them. It's the other teams. It's them around us where you start to think, of course we can win them. But if we're playing Liverpool or Man City or whatever, you'd fancy us to beat them rather than some of the lower sides. But hopefully, like I say, Victor will install that to all the games now, are cup finals, because every game now is really like a cup final, isn't it? It's not just a matter of getting a point. If we can start to put the foot down and, like I say, score the goals, Igor, like I said, he's got a lot of goals in the in Europe, but at the same time that can turn into the Premier League, because as you know, with strikers, they have barren spells. All of a sudden, you can get 4 or 5, and then we're on in a few weeks' time saying, "Where's that come from?" So they're all capable of scoring goals. I'd like to see Sangare. When you look at Sangare on Saturday, he had a couple of shots, and you're thinking, he
had one right at the end, didn't he? That he absolutely smashed. Yeah.
Well, normally you just see him breaking up play, doing a little bit on the ball and passing the ball, where he's actually getting more and more forward. So you can see the team has changed a lot. And like I said, I'd love to see Elliot Anderson score a few more goals, because he's got everything, hasn't he? He's got everything apart from the goals. So hopefully, if he can contribute in a few more places. I know Ola's been trying to get on the score sheet from 40 to 30 yards, but
he does need to stop that, doesn't he, though? Milenkovic had one from 30 yards as well. I find that a bit infuriating. They're not going to score from there. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Just on that, Temps, what Franz was saying about the tactical changes that Pereira has made, the most interesting one, I mean, obviously we're not passing it long with the keeper, we're pressing high.
We need a few more goals.
Have you gone, Franz?
Yeah,
I was just going to talk about Morgan and
we need to
Anderson's
just like say
role.
press eye.
Don't make me edit this, Franz. Morgan and Anderson's roles, Temps. He's pushed them a bit higher. Morgan feels like he's getting the ball in different and better areas now to run at them, to me.
Yeah, so important. When Morgan's at his best, when he gets the ball between the lines and he's able to run at a broken field. Did it a couple of times yesterday. His ball selection has got better in recent weeks. And just the space that Callum Hudson-Odoi finds and the channel balls we were able to find for him yesterday, a couple of clips down the line as well. We were trying to feed him. He looked really effective. And I'm with Franz. I'm so high on Callum Hudson-Odoi. I think he's one of our best players. The stats don't quite bear out, but he tries again and again and again. And he's efficient and wise enough to know when it's not on, he will just drop it off to his fullback and recycle the ball into midfield and go again. But yeah, the Gibbs White thing, we've said this for 3.5 years now. When he plays well, we play well. In pockets of space, running at a broken field, he's one of the best in the Premier League, and he's quietly notched up a fair few goals this year. When he's burdened with defensive responsibility or needs to come deeper to be a deep line playmaker, just to find the ball, we're not getting the best of him. So I think that's an immediate coached input and impact that Vitor Pereira has had. And to a lesser extent, it applies to Elliot Anderson as well. I do think it is part of his role to come and collect the ball from the fullbacks and from the centre halves and be that distributor. At that point, Sangare can push a bit further forward because whilst we can pigeonhole him as a midfield destroyer, and it was a destructive performance yesterday, some of his one-touch passing and his freedom of movement and comfort on the ball and range of distribution was absolutely exceptional. Such a dynamic trio. That is a great midfield. That's as good a midfield as I can remember, like watching in living memory. Sorry, Franz.
It's black and white photographs you're talking about now, so I'll let you carry on. You won't remember us. So it's all right.
The tools are there. I'm so happy with this group of players. The starting midfield, the starting defence. Delighted with it. Not the problem. Callum Hudson-Odoi, absolutely. Amari has these moments. I kind of know what he's going to do now. He's always looking to come inside on the left foot and find that in-swinger to the back stick, but he can be effective. But the manner that we've recruited the support act to that best 11 and the lack of goals from Jesus in the Premier League has been the problem. I'd suggest probably that Jota Silva and Ruben Sosa are going to end up being as impactful across this year as Dan Ndoye and Dylan Bakwa. And they were recruited and paid for like significant upgrades, and that hasn't proven to be the case. So look, we can pick apart the problems, but yeah, part of the answer between now and the end of the season is continuing to get Morgan Gibbs-White on the ball between the lines and letting him have that creative freedom to bring the wide players in, to slip the striker and just do what he does best. Unlock defences with a certain freedom to roam and to operate as he sees fit.
We did suffer off the bench. I think it's fair to say. Obviously, I think I'm not sure what we're going to do with Luca, unless you do what we were signed to do and we sling a lot of crosses in. I'm a bit uncertain there. And Ndoye and Bakwa, they didn't really make the impact they wanted. Pete, what are you doing with them in terms of? Are you starting them against Fenerbahce, especially Bakwa, to try, because he looks absolutely devoid of confidence. He looks broken to me. Are you starting him against Fenerbahce and saying, "I really back you. This is a game for you," or are you fearful that as games tick down, you can't put Bakwa on and you give him pre-season and start afresh with him, because by hook or by crook, we're going to need some impact off the bench from these lads, and we haven't seen enough of it for a multitude of reasons which we've discussed.
I think both the wingers need good game time against Fenerbahce. The wings you mentioned, Ndoye and Bakwa. Whether you start them or not, I'm just totally happy to trust in whatever Pereira thinks is the right way to go about it. The one comment I would make about them, and they have those two and McAtee and possibly some others have been almost entirely written off by the fan base now. My position has been all along that the failings that we've seen from those players have not been predominantly down to the footballers and their talent, but down to the way that the club has been managed, the way the environment has been run this season. And until they get the sort of support and the sort of management that they deserve, it's personally, I don't think it's appropriate to judge their talent until they've had that. All we've had is a first 11 that have been given, faith and what have you. But we've had, a set of players in reserve who've been written off, who've been badmouthed in the press, and whose confidence is absolutely on the floor. And the evidence for that is pretty obvious given the first couple of games that you saw both of those wingers, for example, play in Forest shirts where they looked very promising. Whether they were fleeting moments or whether they were more consistent over those games, they're shells of those footballers now. And I don't think it takes a lot of thought to work out why that might be. What I've seen from Pereira already in a very short space of time is someone who's been giving Bakker a cuddle, who's been trying to get in around these players and try and find that belief again and give them a bit of confidence and a bit of guidance. So given that, as Temp said, we've had almost no impact whatsoever from them, personally, I'd say good reason for hope is that we might get a little bit of impact from them. And without putting any pressure on, I'd say the manager believes that that's the case. Otherwise, why would he be bothering to engage with them in the way that he is? I think that's a massive improvement from how they were dealt with previously. And we might just find that we've got 3 or 4 players on the bench who could have a bit of an impact. On Luca, I never want to be mean about players, but I've seen nothing whatsoever to make me think that he's going to be a solution for us, really. I don't think that it's viable to change the game plan just to smash balls to him in the box, and it doesn't appear to me from very slim viewings that there's much to his game otherwise. As things stand, I'd be trying to get the absolute best out of Igor Jesus, trying to encourage him to be a little bit more proactive when the ball does come to in those areas, get a shot off slightly earlier, and work with his strengths and try and improve his weaknesses, which is what coaching is, right? And I'd be looking at whether we can get Taiwo fit enough to be on the bench and making an impact from the bench, and that's where I'd be going from here.
Yeah, I don't know where Taiwo was yesterday. I did look in Pereira's post-match comments. I haven't listened to Colin's interview on Radio Nottingham, but I read the press conference. There was nothing about Taiwo on there. From a winger's point of view, Franz, what would you be saying, or what advice would you be giving Bakker and Ndoye as the two that have struggled off the bench? I think Ndoye's done all right off the bench, but hasn't made the attacking impact. What would your message be to those two lads?
I think they should be watching their own highlights of why the club bought them. Basically, say this is why we bought you, because of what you do. Because I think they've just lost their confidence, because these players have been bought for a reason. It's not because of they're no good and whatever managers have seen what qualities they've got. But I think they probably need to have a bit of sort of confidence to say, look at the highlights, the best of what they've done for the last year or 2 years, and say, I am a good player. And this is what I'm capable of doing, and replicate that when they get in the side. So, like I said, but if you're low on confidence and there's pressure on you when you come into the City ground and play, I just think the fans will get behind you. So you've got the backing of the fans, you've got the backing of the manager. So I don't know what it is with the players. There's a sort of mental block there. I mean, you look at McAtee. I mean, what was he bought for? I mean, if he looks at all his highlights, I mean, you're seeing a shadow of a player of what we bought. He's got all the qualities, but yet it doesn't seem to fit in. Maybe the big moves that have been too much for him. Dan Ndoye's trying to settle in. So I just think if you play without any fear, you're going to get a tune out of a lot of them players. Just go. It's the same as wingers. I would say as wingers, listen, just go past. Just keep going down the line, because eventually, if you keep going and keep chipping away, something will happen. But as a winger, you have to make something happen. So I think it's a lot. I would say it's a lot easier for a winger to do something, especially like Bakker, because we've seen little clips of him. He's done quite well, but when he came on Sunday, he just looked a complete shadow of himself. But that might be the situation where we had so many managers come in. He's been told that many things to do. You don't know if he's coming or going, does he? So
is the confidence thing the same as a striker, Franz? You obviously take confidence from getting at your man or whatever it is you pride yourself on?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and like I said, even with Luca now, you just think to yourself, where is he going to fit? Is it one of them situations where we get Calamuendo back and try and do a loan that way and shoot him out that way? I can't see him coming back in the side, because obviously the way things were set up beforehand, was it a panic buy? Was it a stopgap? Because I just can't see him playing because of what Igor does up front. I don't think Luka can do that. And then you look at I think it's a bit of a panic buy because you look at his stats, Napoli he came from, wasn't scoring any goals. And yet we were going to play a system where I think we were just going to launch it up for him at some point, wasn't it, really? And we don't play that way. So all of a sudden now we've gone back to how we should be playing all along. And just giving them the confidence and letting the players play. So I think, like I say, Victor's just, all he's doing is organising them and saying, listen, go out and play with freedom, enjoy it. And it's a knock-on effect, isn't it? Once you get one or two players playing well, all of a sudden it rubs off on everybody else. And I just see the difference. Like I say, Murillo's a different player. He's always been a top player. But these last two games, all of a sudden, he's coming to his own, isn't he? So, like I said, there are certain players who rely on confidence and having the manager having that faith in them. So I think these next few weeks, I think Thursday will be interesting to see who plays, and if McAtee comes in and Bacco comes in, just to see what impact Victor's put on the team. Because if they start to perform and you see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, then you think to yourself, you know what? As we go forward, we're going to win more games than we're going to lose. So I'm looking forward to this new chapter because, like I said, the last two games have been like a breath of fresh air. The players are buying into it. Like I say, Gibbs White, he's got his chest out. He's enjoying himself, and you see a lot of other players. Sangar has been fantastic, and Ola's just been getting there, hasn't he? He's more or less just got there now because it took him a couple of games to get back into it, but he seems like he's found his feet. So yeah, fingers crossed we can look forward to staying up, because it's a major thing to stay in that league. Just the fact with what the club are doing, what they're looking to achieve. You've got the new stands, you've got everything's geared to go to the next step, to get into Europe and stay in there consistently. So to get all them players in, all right, Edu's probably got 2 or 3 players wrong, but when you think 2 or 3 years ago with that squad, what we had to what we've got now, we've got some great players. It's just how you manage them, isn't it? And how you keep them, because all of a sudden we're producing players who might not be there next season because they're that good. So we'll see. Fingers crossed, like I said, we can just steady the ship now, play entertaining football, which the fans love to see, and I think the players love to play that way as well. So I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the other teams in the final part of the show, and they're the other reason that gives me optimism as much as anything that we'll be all right. We'll look at Spurs and West Ham in particular. Just before that, quick word for Global Telemetrics. We shall see you in 30 seconds.
You can hide, you can remove the plates, but we'll also find you. Been deployed today to the GMP area. Customer of this Range Rover knows that it pays to invest in security. Global Telemetrics, repatriations team, and that's another one recovered.
Thanks very much, Global Telemetrics. A Range Rover recovered in less than 2 hours there. So do invest if you're looking to protect your vehicle. Click the link in the description. Right. The other thing, so I want to finish up just looking, we've discussed us at length. I want to have a quick look at Spurs and West Ham, the two teams really most in the thick of it with us right now. Picture can change maybe a bit with Leeds, but I'm not sure it will. Upcoming games for them and us. Particularly Spurs and West Ham, Spurs have got Fulham away, Palace home, Liverpool away, big game against us, Sunderland away, Brighton at home, West Ham, Liverpool away, Fulham away, City home, Villa away, Wolves at home, Palace away. Pete, I look at those teams. I know West Ham have done well. I just don't see them picking up many points. The flip side to what we've discussed about us and maybe a lack of goals, I feel like clean sheets will ultimately, set the foundation. I do look at our team. Ortega's done well for the most part. We've got a very strong back four. We've got a very strong midfield. I feel like we've got a foundation for Pereira to build on. I still look at West Ham, incredibly tough games. They've got Somerville, they've got Bowen. Are they going to keep clean sheets? Spurs look an absolute mess. Tudor's like talking them down in his first press conference after the game. I mean, that does give me optimism. I know it's going to be very tough, and I do think it's going to be very tight. But a foundation to build on versus those teams, you think?
Yeah, I mean, in the sort of vein of the cliche about focusing on yourself and the one game at a time type stuff, that's really where I'm at with it. My optimism comes from what I see from us, not so much from what I see from the others. And the reason for that is because I think this is one of the more unpredictable Premier League seasons that we've ever seen, and I think the reason for that unpredictability is that we've had a major move from teams looking to control games and therefore a sort of suffocation of games from the stronger teams. That means you're more likely to see results go how you might expect. We've seen it move from control to chaos. Now it's all direct. It's much more set piece oriented. There's a lot less sort of structure to the games, and as a result, I think we're seeing more surprising outcomes, and games are being spun on smaller moments. Those Mark Warburton fine margins that you referenced earlier. That sort of means that I feel that looking at the other teams and their fixtures is, I mean, it's going to drive you mad anyway. But for me, it doesn't feel like a place where I can get any strong sense of what is to come. But I do get a strong sense of what is to come from what I see from our players. I think our first 11, if we can keep it where it is, keep it fit, is the best of those sides that I think we're in a battle with. I think we're in the best place with the players that we've got, and now I'm confident that we're in a better place in terms of the plan, the strategy, the connection between players and staff, and that plugs the gap that was the gap that worried me before, which was that West Ham were in a better place than us in that side of things. Now I think we can match them and more. So I'm pretty positive that, you know, you spread all the fixtures out and have a look at them. I think we can get the results that we need. And, you know, at that point, the opposition, they don't matter so much. I don't think any of them are going to be going on the sort of run that means that it's going to be out of our hands with what I believe we can do. So my optimism comes from us. I think we could see anything with the other sides. As you say, Spurs look like an absolute wreck, and the fact that they've got a manager coming in after one game and players are already ignoring him on the pitch visibly, and he's ranting about them after a game doesn't feel like a great place for them to be. And I think West Ham have been running pretty hot as well. I've been quite impressed with them when I've seen them, but I don't believe that Somerville's goal scoring record is likely to be sustainable for the whole period. So look, I look at us, I look at everyone else, and I feel like we're in an okay place, and we're in a much better place as a result of a week where we've taken big decisions to change, and there seems a much greater sense of connection again.
Just on Spurs, just to elaborate on them, obviously, most injuries in the league. I'll just go through. Their squad is decimated. Odobert out for the season. Maddison out for the season.
Absolute wreck. Absolute wreck.
Kulusevski out for the season. Bentancur out for the season. Mohamed Kudus out till mid-April. Ben Davies out for the season. Bergvall probably out for the season. Romero is back from a suspension soon. Udogie out till mid-March. Danzo out till mid-March. And Pedro Porro probably out for another 3 weeks. Pretty bleak for them. Obviously, they've got a lot of good players still. Just I'll ask Franz about set pieces in a minute, actually, because we haven't touched on that. But Temps, how are you? When you hear that relative to them, what are your general thoughts now as we wrap things up?
I still think the bottom three is the bottom three. You'd have to reassess that if West Ham got ahead of us at any point in this run-in. But I think as things sit now, with the defensive midfield we have and this one problem to solve, can we find the games where we find the goals from somewhere and increase that lead on West Ham once more? If we do that, we'll be fine. If they strike first, we're in a battle, and the doubt can start to creep in. But as we sit here today, I think there's a reason why the bottom three are the bottom three. I'm glad we've got points on the board, and I'm still predicting Wolves, Burnley, and West Ham down.
Just one thing we didn't touch on, Franz. I'll obviously give your opinion on everything, but set pieces I feel like set pieces are killing us. We're not scoring from open play, and I don't think we won a first contact on a dead ball yesterday. I can't think of any. I don't know how do we improve that in general?
That's again, it's down to the players. As a coach, you can only tell the players what they need to do. I mean, set pieces like corners. If you set up right, then obviously the delivery's got to be good. But I mean, if it's that bad, I always say, Murillo, put him on the ball, because that left foot of his has got a wand. So you might as well if he's not in the box, then let him take the free kicks, because I'm sure you're going to get some chaos in the box or whatever happens, because he whips everything in. Elliott tries to do it sometimes, but I think he tries too hard because he's got all the ability in the world. And when he takes free kicks, sometimes he tries to kill it rather than just put it in an area where you've got people who can compete. So I think sometimes with the set pieces, they're probably trying too hard. Instead of putting it in, as I say, put it in the mixer, put it in there, and then at least get to, like Liverpool did yesterday against us. They've just put it in there. It's not been fantastic quality. It's just been in the box so people can compete. So I think we're trying too hard with set pieces because we're trying to be perfect. And like Tem says, at the end of the day, you look at Forest side, and the only thing what's lacking is goals. You look at all the other sides. I mean, you look at Spurs. I mean, you look at their injuries. I mean, some of them guys obviously don't want to play. They're probably saying, listen, I've come in, I've got a broken ankle or fallen down. So they've got a unit where they're not even together. So if you've got, 9, 10 injuries, there's something not quite right there, is there? I think they're just picking up the paychecks rather than trying to get fit and get back into the side. And then you've got West Ham. They've probably got 2 or 3 players. But we always know about Boyne. And then some of those playing quite well. But the rest, they're nowhere near where we are as a side, because you can start picking all the players in our side, Nico, or you can keep going on with all these other teams. You look at the personnel. Look at Romero, who's probably going to come back and get sent off. So he probably won't play against us because he's another loose cannon, isn't he? So again, you're looking for a captain, someone like him, to step up, but yet he's not on the field, and yet he's obviously having to go at the manager and the club and things like that. You don't want that. Whereas we're together, we just can't get that last little bit where we're getting the goals. Because if you get the goals, 35 chances in 2 games and 53 shots, all of a sudden, like I say, we're in the top half of the table, aren't we? That's the only difference with our side at the moment is goals. Like Temps is saying, we get the goals. It changes the dynamics of everything, doesn't it? Really. So hopefully this is going to be a starting point. Which obviously Victor will see that the main key for us is scoring goals. We score goals, we win games.
Yeah, we need to win. We need to win a weekend as well. Like by that I mean, we beat Brighton, West Ham slip, and everything feels massively different. One weekend like that, and I think it's very, very difficult for West Ham. Obviously, the challenge is actually doing that at our end of the ledger and doing that at Brighton. We'll wrap things up in 1 sec. If you've enjoyed this, do us a favour, hit like, hit subscribe. Do consider membership or Patreon. Back tomorrow. I might not do it live, actually. It might be pre-recorded with Matt Davies, Adams and Dan Story, and we'll take listener questions, because otherwise I'm just going to ask the same questions again about who's going to score the goals, and everyone will get really bored. So I'll let you guys pose the questions. Temps, any final thoughts, anything you want to add before we go?
Just reinforce that. I think we'll be okay. It's tighter than I thought it was going to be 3-4 weeks ago. I think what we've seen in terms of the setup is an endorsement of the need to make that managerial change. I think we've got a better chance of staying up now than we did. Got to get that win on the board before West Ham do.
Pete, I know you're itching to come back at the live chat because I've seen you reading it as we've gone on. Anything you want to add before we go?
Just I think a thank you to James Mercer in particular for his pearls of wisdom. I'll consider in future just making sniping comments on the podcast rather than doing the hours of research and preparation that I do to try and contribute seriously to a discussion that I do without being paid and which is free of charge for you to access. Thank you very much.
Don't cancel your membership, James. I really need it. Appreciate it.
I don't really care.
Well, I appreciate it.
Oh, by the way, James,
we all appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sign up to my Substack, James, and I'm happy to take your comments in response for your cash.
Franz, anything you want to add before we go?
I haven't seen anything, so I don't know.
Everyone loves Franz, don't worry.
It's all right. Yeah, you're very much in favour. Everyone's very.
I don't know about that. Listen, the game's about opinions. This is what we're on the show for. You know what I mean? Because you can have a room full of people talking. Everyone's going to have a different opinion, but we all want the same result. So all we're doing is it's frustrating watching your team, the way the club's going, and we're not scoring goals. So you've got people who, like I said, everyone's got different opinions on different things. But the main thing is that we all want to win, and we all want to see Forest get back into Europe and have the European days coming back to the ground. So it's frustrating. And like I said, our input is basically just to try and say, well, this is going wrong, that's going wrong. But there's not a lot wrong when you think about it. Even all the managers, apart from Ange, who's come in, basically, he's obviously ran away from Spurs. With him, if he'd have bought into Forest, we'd probably be in a different place altogether. But all of a sudden now, 4 managers down the line, surely something's got to go right. We can't keep having that revolving door. It's like going into a hotel, isn't it? Basically, it keeps going around. So someone's got to come out of the other side. So I just think if we can just perform and score the goals, like Temp says, Pete says, we need goals. There's not much wrong. Defensively, we're strong. Midfield, we're strong. The wingers, like I said, we could get a tune out backward. We could end up, McAtee might end up with Victor coming in there, playing a tune towards the end of the season. So all these players have got something to give. It's just trying to get the best out of them. And like I said, I think with this manager coming in now, I don't think Sean did anything wrong. I just think maybe with the many languages he speaks, maybe a lot more softer and a lot more easy for the players to digest and buy into it. So, because I think he's travelled everywhere, this manager, and he's been to China, he's been everywhere. So he's going to know certain things about certain players, what they make him tick. And you can see with the last 2 games, they look settled, they look refreshed, and they look like they're playing with confidence. So for me, looking forward, it's all about winning our games. We can look at all the other teams, what they're doing, but you know what? It's about us, what we do. And I think with us being in Europe as well, come Thursday night, that's going to give us a boost to go into the next Premiership game, because you've got something, another game coming rather than just waiting for another Premiership game. You've got that game, so you can tinker with it a little bit and then go on to the next game. So I've always been confident. Every time I come on this show, I keep saying I'm sure we're going to finish top 10, and all of a sudden we're in a relegation scrap. But we've got enough, more than enough to handle all them sides down there.
We'll take 17th, Franz. We're not expecting top 10 anymore.
No, exactly. I'll settle for that. I'm not going to dream anymore. But we've got more than enough to stay up.
Hopefully, I get too obsessed with the other teams. I've had to mute myself. The cat's making a noise around me. Sorry. Yeah, I do worry too much about the other teams, not enough about ourselves. Too much.
Franz, are you open for life coaching opportunities? I could do with just your voice in my ear every time I'm feeling a bit down on myself, just saying, "You're doing well, mate. You're going to be all right. You come good."
You could do that, Franz. You've got a very therapeutic voice as well.
You have.
Is it? I don't know about that, but I'll have to start singing.
I don't know. I don't know if a singing life coach feels a bit niche for a career change.
No, it'd be the Forest songs, like I say on Saturday. We have to join in with you Reds.
There was one about Anthony Taylor we can't join in with on here. But...
Oh, I tell you, no. Listen, it's like I said, the City Ground at the moment. Since I've been coming back down for the last sort of 18 months, it's a completely different place. Just a shame about the revolving door, but everything else seems to be going all right. We need a manager to stabilise things, because again, we're looking at the end of this season. What's going to happen? We stay up, everything goes all right. What's going to happen with the manager? Is he going to get an extension, or we got somebody else coming in? I mean, we are the club.
We've done an hour, Franz. We've done an hour. Let's not open that can of worms.
But exactly. But all of a sudden you think, well, what's going to happen? It's one of them clubs where you're just thinking, what's going to happen next? Whereas all the other clubs, a lot of them are in turmoil. And where a lot of people are probably focusing on us thinking, what are Forest going to do? Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? So it keeps everybody interested, doesn't it? Really, it's not good for our nerves.
I hope it
does. Not good for our nerves, but it keeps us interested.
Maybe me and Franz will stay and do another hour.
Just chat. Me and Temps will disappear. I'll leave the room open. Just we didn't do Anthony Taylor because it's pointless and the ref. But that was not a foul on Konate. I've seen it back. That was ridiculous. And you can't book a player for walking away and just someone smashes the ball at him. That was.
I'll do 30 seconds on that, mate. Why not let it play out? See if Jesus scores or doesn't score, and then look at the 25 cameras in the ground.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Don't forget they've got the referee. They've always got the referees watching, so all of a sudden you don't know who's saying something in their ear, because they're not allowed to make decisions now, are they? Half the time. So
we saw that in the FA Cup, didn't we? Oh, we could do another hour. That Villa handball and all that shambles. Yeah, right. Let's leave it there. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Good chat. Appreciate everyone joining us. Do hit like before you go. Like I say, back tomorrow with Matt and Dan. So join us for that. Thanks to Pete. Thanks to Temps. And thanks to Franz. And if we don't see you tomorrow, we shall see you soon.